and it's good to meet you. It's good to finally talk to you. I want to get to know sort of like I heard different things about you, right? But how did you really get your start in the supplement industry, and why you
Yeah.
chose to really get into that industry? It's I don't know how you feel about the supplement industry, but it's pretty oversaturated, just by looking at it, right? So, how did you guys succeed with the Blackstone? You and PJ was your former partner, PJ Braun.
Yeah.
How did you guys
Yeah.
succeed in that industry? Because there's so many big players in it.
Well, there are, and it is extremely busy, place to compete. It's a tough, very tough industry. It's not
Hmm.
like it's something you can just get in and do well, because there's so much competition, and there are a lot of big boys out there that have revenue to spend on marketing, like Redcon1 now does. So really, the beginning, we were very lucky in the sense that we had a product that really worked, Super DMZ, and we had something really unique, is we had two personalities. And PJ
Hmm.
was well known in the bodybuilding. He never made it as a pro, but he was very well known. People knew who he was. He was a personality in bodybuilding. And then I was traveling the world with RX Muscle, meeting everybody. And I'm a relationship guy. And so
Hmm.
usually when I meet somebody, I'm able to connect in some way, and then I'm good at keeping in touch with people. And so me and him got in front of the camera and represented the company when that was less common. So I love the idea of personalizing a business, creating something or somebody that people believe in. So the
Hmm.
fact that me and PJ were in front of the camera and we're very relatable because we're just two gym guys. I mean, I didn't finish high school. I never went to college. PJ didn't finish college. We weren't like these unrelatable, business geniuses. We're just two normal meatheads.
Hmm.
And so other meatheads kind of related to that, and especially in so it's the truth. And so, especially in the very beginning, it was very endearing for a lot of people because they're like, oh, look at these guys, they're having fun, they're doing cool stuff. Unfortunately, somewhere along the line, I think it started getting a lot of hate, for probably some of the reasons were our faults, because we thought showing the cars and stuff like that would be cool because we thought it was inspiring and cool. But I think a lot of people, it rubbed the wrong way, where people thought, well, these guys aren't like us anymore. They have Ferraris. They're not like us.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
and it created some negative feelings, I think. In retrospect, if there's anything I would go back and change, it would be that, because I don't think it was appreciated.
Interesting. That's very interesting. Now, PJ was still competing as you started the company, right? Because he had dreams of being a competitor as well, right?
Yeah, yeah, he was still competing, and when we first started going, he had just done nationals, I believe, and he did USA's a little while later, and yeah, he still had ambitions of being a pro and being. I think he at the time he would wanted to have been a successful pro, but
Hmm.
also genetics, like we mentioned before,
Right.
is important, and I think that there was no potential for that. So it's good that he maximized what he did have, because he was always great about posting, being on social media, being active, going to shows. One of the big pieces of advice that Dave Palumbo gave both me and PJ was go to as many shows as possible, because then you meet people. You're in their face, so they remember you. People who are making decisions, or judges, or promoters. That being out there and being seen is important. It's probably not as important these days, but back then that was a huge factor, being in people's faces.
No, absolutely. So, the vision behind Blackstone Labs was to make it a hardcore company, right? You guys were appealing
Yes.
to, like you said, the gym rats, the hardcore guys, right? That was the vision.
Yes. Yes, I think that that's the one thing that's done is just so different between like Redcon and Blackstone. Is it so at Redcon we came up with a brand plan before the brand even existed. So we knew who we were, what we stood for, our core values. We created a real brand, and that's why Redcon is one of the reasons it's doing so well, is because we're one of the only, maybe the only company in sports supplements that actually did that beforehand, because Eric Hart and I had so much experience. They were able to say, hey, these are the things that worked, these are the things that didn't work, this is who we were, and this is who we want to be. And we were able to really kind of make the brand exactly that. And so with Blackstone, it kind of just happened. Like it
Hmm.
just kind of exploded. It was like one day we had this website and people were ordering, and the next, before you know it, we had garbage bags full of orders that we were taking out. And
Mm.
I remember distinctly, me and PJ and his girlfriend at the time, and me and my wife were in. And this is a memory that comes back because it was so crystallized. We were in the Bahamas, and the website did $5,000 in sales that day. And I remember looking at it and being like, how the hell did this happen? Like, look at this number. Like, how this? Can you imagine one day when this will be every day? We laughed like that would be amazing every day. It was like that. And now, that would be an hour or whatever, but at the time that number was such a
Sure.
amazing thing because we didn't expect that. That was no plan for that to happen. It just kind of happened. And so it was kind of more reactive, whereas everything now we do is so thought out and planned out, and we have meetings, and it's like a real business. Then it was like just two dudes having fun and trying to follow what we thought was cool personally, and then it just kind of working over and over and over again,
Mm-hmm. So you guys became successful at Blackstone Labs, right? It was a company that became known in the business. So why did you guys separate? What happened? Why did you leave Blackstone? What exactly happened?
Well, I'll tell you, Vlad, and you probably already know this, but as people get older, your values change, and then as money is involved, people's personalities can change. And so I think that what really happened was that two guys who were best buddies who had so much in common, and then it really dramatically shifted apart because PJ was still doing what we initially were doing, having fun, doing his thing, and then I had babies, more babies, another baby, and my life was so much different, and my values changed too. Whereas his were pretty much still the same, and mine had just dramatically shifted. Where not that I wouldn't say that I'm a different person by any means, but the things that appealed to me before don't appeal to me as much now, and I think it just had this kind of shift where we just stopped getting along. I mean, that's the best way to put it. Is that there wasn't a big catastrophic event that happened or anything like that, but we just got along less and less and less until there's fights over everything, even physical confrontations over things that were not even important. Yeah, and so in the end of the day, what really came down to is there was a point where a gentleman, I'll tell you the fast version of the story, but we had a guy who I liked, both me and PJ liked personally, but was really, really negative, was caustic in terms of his personality. Not a bad person. Like, I liked hanging out with him, but when he started working for us, it was like, man, like, I just can't, because I'm the one who dealt with almost all the day-to-day stuff at that time. Mm-hmm. And so he would have been working really directly for me, even though he worked for both of us, because we were equal partners. I decided, like, I can't work with this guy anymore. Like, it's just not good for me personally, for my energy. I can't be around somebody that's so negative. And so I told him, hey, man, I got to let this guy go. And PJ said, okay, if you feel like you got to. I really like him. Like, I like him too, but there's no way that I want him to, because he was in the process of moving down to Boca to be full time. So I figured, like, if I'm gonna cut him before he moves his whole life and his family and stuff to Boca. And so he agreed, and I did. And that guy ended up calling PJ and begging and crying, and literally crying. And so, by the way, one other step is in between that, he called me and was very upset and cursing and was upset with me, which I understand, but it was like, we can't repair it, right? And PJ decided, because he cried, that he would bring this guy back, and said that because I'd already changed his password, told all the employees he was fired, but PJ decided on his own that he changed his mind and that he's coming back. And we had this huge fight over that, which is really not what it was about. It was a symptom of all the other shit, because if we were still best buddies, that would have been a minor thing, right? But because it was, we had so much other internal strife, right? You combine that strife with one big event where he's saying no and I'm saying yes, and it just kind of exploded. And we really never looked back after that. I said some mean things because I was upset. He, was upset, and so honestly, it spiraled out of control. And to be honest, looking back, it is literally the best thing, other than having children, that ever happened to me in my entire life. Mm-hmm. So I'm happy, all this stuff, it may sound bad, and at the time it was very dramatic, because that later, when I came to the office, we had kind of like almost like a showdown where PJ said, get your shit and get the fuck out of here. And there was a bunch of people in the room with him that was on his side, and I decided that it would be best to call my lawyer and better understand what was going on. And eventually we were able to figure out a way to separate amicably in terms of financially and stuff. Mm-hmm. And it was dramatic. And at the time, it was definitely very scary for me, because this is my baby that I built, and I certainly spent much, much more time in the office and at work and on this than PJ did. PJ was more of the personality, the face. I was the operator running everything. So it was dramatic. It was like losing a child almost. It's the only thing, and I, thank God, I've never lost a child, but that's the only thing I can possibly compare it to. Because it's not like getting fired. because I gave up time with my family to be there and do that and build it.
Mm-hmm.
So it felt very scary, but it ended up being such a tremendously good thing that it just shows you in life. There's all kinds of times where you may be in a bad situation, and I've been in a bunch. But sometimes those bad situations can lead to the next door opening, right? And if you step through it, if you look for opportunity, even in disaster, you may be able to find the best opportunities. And for me, that has 100% been true.
No, absolutely. So how serious is the rivalry between you and PJ right now? Because is there real animosity there, or is it just healthy, normal, basically kind of competition,
So there's really nothing. At least in my part, I don't have any bad feelings toward him. We don't talk at all. We haven't interacted in years.
I've seen footage. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I've seen footage from the expos. Like he was trying to destroy Redcon1 T-shirts, and then some Redcon1 people were trying to like do something to. I don't know what happened, but you're seeing stuff like that. Is it just fun and games, or is it what? You know what I mean?
Well, I could tell you. So there's a fundamental difference there. Is that on one side, you have somebody who seemingly is upset or is maybe jealous or doesn't like the things they're seeing, and then the other side, I have no feelings at all. I do have people that work for me that are very territorial. People love Redcon. People that work here love Redcon and love being here, and they feel like somebody disrespecting, like ripping up the T-shirts, like you said, or cutting the T-shirts off of people to get free a product or whatever. Mm-hmm. They feel very disrespected by that. I personally don't care. It doesn't matter to me. And honestly, I don't see them as competition at all because we're in very different spaces. That's hardcore bodybuilding, and I'm everybody else. I want to be the supplement company that is the biggest, not only fastest growing, but the biggest supplement company in history. Mm-hmm. And you're not going to be that. Competing with Blackstone. It's a much different thing. So I honestly don't look at them as competition, and I don't want him to do bad. I don't want to tear up any of his shirts or anything. I honestly wish him the best. I know some people, family members of mine may not echo that sentiment, but I have no bad feelings. Honestly, when things are going good, it's very hard to look back and be mad at anybody, Sure. And I understand that if I was doing really bad, maybe I would look back and be angry and be resentful. But I don't have any bad feelings. I feel like where I am, part of where we're at, and part of my history, a large part, is because of that. So it's not a bad feeling at all. So there's no, in my mind anyway, there's zero feud, and I don't have any feelings about it at all, honestly, negative or positive.